Hello, everyone. Tyree here from Orion Chain Labs, and today I'm going to be taking another look at thesis. And part of our theme right now is looking at how we can go about using this very powerful tool that allows us to sort of tap into an abundance of really high quality DeFi data and get exactly what we need for the right moment. So today, we're going to be experimenting very specifically with persona. We're going to keep the rest of the tasks sort of intact and only edit the user, or sorry, the system persona of the sort of guy that's going to be doing our task, right? So it's almost like we're going to be doing the same task. Four guys are going to be given the exact same job, told to do it the exact same way. Let's see if they each come out with sort of different results based on their personality. Now, this is a complete experiment. We're gonna run it together and sort of let it go. I'm very excited to see how it actually works. So here we go. Let me just double check real quick here, make sure I have the correct. Oh, yes. So this looks good. So I think that we're going to start with the. We have a few different personalities that we've already sort of set up here. I have my main sort of underlying focus of all of this, right, is that I want them to stay focused on the whale data, right? I want to stay focused on what people are doing with money and sort of work around that same data set. And here I sort of established three different personalities: the sort of contrarian who, might go against what the market is saying and is looking for opportunities when institutional money is moving against what retail sentiment is saying, right? So if we're looking for that contrarian perspective in the market, we have the momentum whale trader who's really looking at momentum indicators in order to build that position, and then we have our scientific whale researcher, right? So in each of these, I'm going to go ahead and just take this whole sort of prompt out of here that we've already prepared, and we're going to run it live so we can see how everything sort of goes here. But um, while we're letting it work, we can take a look and see that I'm using a framework for creating, prompts that I think is very easy, right? Instructing the agent to have a very clear persona, having a very clear methodology to go and analyze a task, and to actually uh, complete its analysis, right? I have clear goals, which of course we always need, constraints on how I would like my orders to be placed, or different ways to take a look at the data. I also ask for a confidence score there, and market context. Obviously, that's always great. And we get down to my output format structure. This is how I want to receive my report, with very clear recommendations on which direction and what assets to be able to trade on, but also being able to look generally at all of the different evidence that was provided for me so that I can actually consume that and take action. So we're going to look, and we're going to let our little buddy thesis here get the job done. And as we're doing it, we're just going to go over and talk for a minute about um, actually going into some of these prompts. So as I go into right now, we're doing the contrarian whale hunter, right? Um, I go in, and you can see that I'm keeping my output format consistent across all of my different reports here, right? So essentially, the only thing that I'm changing here, pardon me, the only thing that I'm changing here for each of these different tests is the system prompt, here, giving that different identity to our agent thesis while it's going out there and doing its work independently, working in the background behind us. So yeah, super cool the way that this is going to shake out here. And I guess generally for a second, it's valuable to talk about, um, how AI is just about to change our whole lives, right? I think that many people wouldn't even do number one do this research or know how to do this research because knowing which data they need and how to find that data, whether that data needs to be paid for, whether you can access it for free, being able to analyze that data, the individual, right? Cannot shoulder the burden of being able to go out there and do that work, because they don't have time. A lot of people are traders are sort of doing it in the background. They work real life jobs, right? So they're not doing this full time, 100% in the market and able to see everything out there. And so using thesis is really, to me, an investment in yourself as a trader, right? Where you can go out there and say, okay, look, I've got a bunch of KOLs who are telling me something. I see that the market is flashing green, and I see on CNBC every day that I'm feeling good, that things are turning around, that we're getting some sort of calm back in the market, right? All of that, you can see all that, but how do you react and how do you make a decision, and what decision do you want to make, right? So whether you're portfolio is $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million, doesn't make a difference, right? You always need an opportunity, a better way to see the market objectively, analyze it quickly, and and make a decision, right? So this is sort of, as we're going through here, understanding what lens to look at the market through for any given situation. I think that's really going to be pretty fascinating as we evolve along with our AI assistants. Right, being able to work with all these different agents is awesome, but ultimately the outlook of how we're moving forward through this whole ecosystem is it's going to change pretty dramatic. It's going to change pretty dramatically, right? So uh, let's go through some of these actions here and see all of the different tasks that we've seen. So we see that we're pulling whale data, where we're getting perpetual data from liquid GMX, DYDX, whale data. We are pulling in price history. We're looking at some funding rates. We're looking at liquidity map, open interest history. Looks good. So now we're given this report. It seems like we're getting to a point where we're starting to see some results of our research, which is nice. We have our market structure analysis here, showing us that big move on Bitcoin, and that being pretty substantial, but then also suggesting potential FOMO, with that little contrarian voice coming right in there, right? While the retail's excited, this is coming with a little bit of a cool hand to that. We do see some significant short position data opened by whales in the last 24 hours, which is cool. Specific on chain data to support that. Um, we see liquidation clusters. That's always good to know where those liquidation levels are, and we see the contrarian opportunity. Um, a lot of people, big money, smart money, positioning for a pullback. Retail sentiment appears to be euphoric after breaking all-time highs recently, creating a classic setup for a contrarian trade. Obviously, we know that we're coming off of local lows, but yeah, but we have just come off of all time highs, not but a couple months ago, right? So maybe that voice of reason is still sitting there, and um, they're showing a clear divergent in sentiment. So, anyways, we're hopping down here with a suggestion to short Bitcoin in the primary and secondary zones, 60% and 40% of our position size, 5% of the portfolio, 2 to 3x leverage, no more to withstand volatility. That's awesome. And we're moving down into the supporting evidence for that. So now we have our sort of contrarian trade. right? And we're gonna hop down and we're gonna pick up our other prompts, right? So now we have the sort of momentum whale trader, and we're expecting this to be, dramatically different, right? So we're again only tweaking that top system persona, and the rest of that prompt I'm going to keep completely the same, just to see um, how dramatically the outlook on the same data, having access to the same data, how the personal outlook comes. And I am going to create a brand new. Um, I am going to create a brand new instance for this. I should probably go back and stop this for a minute. So I'm going to stop this one, and I'm going to get rid of my old conservative creator because we looked at that in the previous video. And we're going to go for it. So again, momentum focused cryptocurrency analyst, riding the tides of trends, major market movers, prioritizing timing over absolute price levels, right? So this is going to be hopefully a dramatically different take on the current moment in the market, and we'll see what we get. And again, part of the reason we're looking at this is to see um, the quality of the output and the consistency of the output format. But we're also want to see how we are just as we continue to change the person, right? The again, sort of the name of this episode is same task, different guy, right? So we have the same exact task, put a different guy in the driver's seat, and see how that job gets done. That's really going to be quite interesting to us. Now we expect to see a lot of the same exact tasks being run, right? That's a no-brainer, right? So we expect it to go out there and look for that same whale data, make the same analysis, but to look at the output of that research and that analysis a bit differently. So we're going to let this run. We're going to view that and check it out. Obviously, the markets are moving quite fast today, so I'm going to go over to CoinGecko right now and see where we are because I've been behind the screen here. I should always have CoinGecko pulled up. But here we go. We have Solana making a move off of that local low, which is pretty cool. Cool to see. Been waiting for that for a while. Bitcoin up at 91.5. So it's looking like a pretty strong move here. We're at the top of our daily range. So our contrarian trader take told us to maybe look for a short entry here, and so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and create a little short entry on that portfolio. Where was that? That was my contrarian, and I am going to head over here to leverage. And I'm going to deposit 5,000 because we're using 5% of our portfolio. It's okay. So let's check up here. We're just going to let this guy rock as we're listening to Miles Davis, enjoying the day, and letting AI do the work of finding alpha for us. Very nice market conditions. I think we were down at about 2.6 trillion for total market cap not too long ago. So we're up more than 10% in, very, very recent history, which is awesome. I think some of the other reports that I had run earlier were overwhelmingly positive in the market, and I thought that was quite obviously. There's still a little bit of uncertainty with Trump tariffs and all that happening, right? And the back and forth. I think that's going to continue to sort of shake things up, but we do see that major shakeout of that uncertainty kind of feels like it's behind us now. Somehow that was a clear double market, a bottom on the market, and it's decided to break out, and the momentum is now shifted upwards. So I like that. I think that we all like that. Feel good, unless you're short, right? Sorry to RIP to everybody that got liquidated, or anybody that got liquidated. Um, right now, we're seeing that our agent is checking the liquidity heat map for Bitcoin, which looks good. I'm just going to refresh this, make sure that we're on the current task. All good. Um, and then our third prompt for today is going to be um, our scientific whale researcher, uh, who is going to be looking at statistic analysis to actually make its decision about what direction we are going to trade. It looks like we are through looking at our liquidity heat map, and we're sort of coming along now. Trend neutral, indicator neutral. Interesting. 91.1 Bitcoin futures. See how close that is. So I guess as we're sort of moving through here, the questions that I guess I actually closed the tab a minute ago, but the question that I'm going to continue to ask myself as I'm using this product is, what kind of a trader am I? What kind of opportunities am I looking for? Right? We often look at our AIs to sort of do a job for us, but we have a job as well, which is to learn how to use the tool better, right? And to know what we want more specifically over time. And if you don't know what you want, right, being able to start broad and refine bit by bit until ultimately we can come up with a very clear idea of our personal preferences, um, and how we react, right? Everything is about reaction somehow, right? When we sort of prompt the input, it prompt our LLM, it is reacting to us providing instruction, right? But our reaction to how the market is moving, right? Um, that is also a part of the learning process, right? Something happens in the market, how do you react? What do you do? And I think that is always sort of the question of a trader. And we see people doing sort of the TA approach. We see people, do general sentiment analysis, or look at leverage markets. Obviously here we're looking a lot at liquidity and leverage markets to be able to see if we can extract intelligence from how smart money is moving, but we all need to have a way to quickly access a way of thinking, and then execute that way of thinking and looking at the abundance of data that we have, and then acting, right? So that's what we have here. The direction that we're getting from our agent is to pick up a long position here with a clear stop loss. And yeah, we can see it down here in our summary. Um, we also see that some whales have opened major long positions recently, pretty significant long positions. Confidence score 7 out of 10, so fairly confident, but you know, um, not 10 out of 10, right? There's still some balance there, and we do see some strategic considerations that this is a midterm position. Expected holding time 10 to 15 days. So really important there for sort of how we're going to maintain our position, when to look at our um, exits, and also potential validation scenarios. So through all of this, we are constantly going through, and we're seeing, obviously, a huge difference in direction here, right? We have, on one hand, our a contrarian trader telling us to follow institutional smart money and start opening up shorts. And here we have sort of an analysis of smart money that's saying that we do see some big whales opening long. So, with the same data, we can see the market in two different ways. And I think that that's the point here is that we've only changed here the personality. We haven't changed the request or the instruction or the goal. Uh, and so that's something that we should always sort of, again, as we're going through, have a controlled way to take our prompts and try different personas. And then once you find personas that sort of match you, maybe playing around permutations between personas and methodology, and researching new methods of see what your friends are doing, talk to people on social, see how other people are using the tool and new methodology to go and find data, and then how to analyze that data. I think in the future, one thing that I would like to see, and maybe in our next episode, we'll look more specifically into just sort of tweaking methodology. Um, and we'll see exactly what it's like to sort of add in more social sentiment type data, or more macro data on news events or major things like that. So we'll start tweaking that, and yeah, and as you can see, we sort of have these great reports sort of at the end, giving us a very concise output. So I'm satisfied with our output. I'm not going to run the third example for us today, but I will run it offline, and then create this portfolio here with the positions so that we can all track it together and see how these are performing in our future episodes. So everybody take care. I'll be back soon with some updates, looking at changing methodology, and seeing how we can sort of stretch the toolkit of Thesis to look at the market in different ways by sort of giving it different sets of instructions. I hope that this is valuable and useful for you. I am loving using our tool and having a great time with it. I think that, again, make sure that however you want to track your prompts, I created a little virtual notebook for myself to sort of track the prompts. But however you go about tracking your prompts and iterating, understand that Thesis is really open. It's an open book. You can get anything out of this tool. It has incredible access to really powerful data. And so as you're going in here, really find ways to ask questions that are useful and valuable, and continue to refine your prompting until you get something that really feels like, one prompt or a set of prompts that are really in line with how you would like to see the market and take action. So thank you very much for joining me today. Everybody have a great week. Head over to thesis.io. And show us what you're working on. If you're out there and you're creating strategies using Thesis, go out there, show us, vibe trade with us, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you very much. Have a good one.